people know who your representatives are, and be engaged in your government and learn what parts of your government work so you know who to go to. So I think that was definitely a benefit for everything that we've had to go through. So mandates is a big thing. Development obviously is a huge thing. I'm a realtor, and I think that I bring a unique skill set to the commission that we have that's not there right now, only to be able to see it in the line of work that I'm in, to be able to see the difference of developers and developments and land use and zoning and the developers, and being able to explain to people on TIFs and this kind of stuff. It's really important, because the amount of people we're getting into Knox County on a weekly basis is astronomical. And so development infrastructure is going to be, I think, for the next 4 years, especially on commission, is going to be one of the high points. It's got to be dealt with probably at every turn, because we've got to get more houses in here. We've got to be able to get the inventory up so we can hopefully some of these prices will level off a little bit, because we want to be able to keep our buyers here and our kids here. And so we've got to be able to do that. So I'm hoping to bring that unique skill set to the commission and work with the developers and work with the homeowners to try to make everybody as happy as we can possibly be, but grow Knox County in a really productive and positive way.
Well, that has been really the hot button right now, is the fact that there's this disconnect between the developer who's got to make a profit, and then there's the neighborhoods, the communities that are around these pieces of property that are being rezoned, that are concerned about the density. And so, we're getting ready to, the last couple of commission meetings, and the one that's going to happen in February, which is actually, we're recording this on February 21st. It's going to happen tomorrow, February 22nd. I mean, we're looking at a major upheaval at this point, because there is a need for houses, and but at the same time there's a disconnect to where the community doesn't feel like they're being heard from the current county commission. Man, some of the things that have happened in the last several months, last years, where used to the developer could explain what they wanted, but now they're explaining that, well, we can't make a profit. Well, I don't know as a businessman that I would have ever said that publicly, but okay. And now the county's swapping infrastructure, improving roads in exchange for density, and so it's getting ready. I'm just glad I'm a blogger and a podcaster, because I don't have to. I can just talk about what happens when that explosion happens at the county commission meeting. But anyway. Hopefully you can help bring all that together next year after you get on the commission September 1st. So, how about our schools today? What do you think about the superintendent search process? What do you think about how the school board, is the school board commission, are they working better together? Could there be some improvement there? I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, granted, the commission gives the school board a big old pot of money, and you can't tell them how to spend it, but it would be nice to have a good working relationship with one another.
Right. So schools are so different from when our kids were there, right?
Right.
From when we were there. And I'm not running for school board, and so right. I don't want to get in and step on anybody's toes. I want to know what my role is as commissioner, but I feel like that as my role as commissioner, it's just as important to work with those school board members, because in the end, we're all working for the same goal, right?
Right.
It's to educate our kids, keep them in Knox County, have them the best education we can give them, and have them flourish here and keep them here, and they're buying houses here and doing everything else. So I think we're all on the same we're on the same path for that. I don't want to overstep my bounds on telling a school board member what they should do. I do feel like that quite a few of the board members and the commissioners do work well together, and I think the last 2 years has been extremely strange for everybody because I don't know if everybody understands all their roles because it's a position none of us have been in before, especially as a representative. I wasn't there, and so I can't necessarily speak to it, but just watching it and dealing with commissioners personally that I deal with. I would like them to have a really good working relationship, and that would be one of my goals. There's actually a school board member and a county commissioner now that I know they do a coffee once a month in the community, and people are able to come out and talk to them and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of one of the things that I talk about that's so important. My people, my constituents should not be having to drive downtown at 5 o'clock, pay to park, get a babysitter, figure out what to do about dinner because they're coming down there to talk to me.
That's funny because one of the other podcasts I recorded earlier today, which I doubt you've had a chance to listen to it yet, but me and another candidate for another commission seat were talking, and his opponent says that well if people got issues with zonings, they should come address us at commission. And I laughed on the podcast. I said, well, it's kind of funny because A, parking is a problem, and B, it's not so easy to get in the city county building anyway with all the security, and C, the city county building, the main assembly room is only so big. But I mean, what you're talking about is what Betsy Henderson and Terry Hill have done over in Carnes. And I do think to parlay into what you're talking about with trying to help to bring neighborhoods and developers together, I think if you could have some of those coffees and make them available within the district, then I think people couldn't really, you wouldn't be able to. I mean, they're still going to criticize you, right? But
they're going to criticize you, but you're making it easier for them. And why in the world would a mom with, thinking about myself, a mom of 3 kids who are going in 3 different directions, you were in the same boat, be expected as a taxpayer and somebody that is being represented, expect to have to come downtown and go through that rigmarole to be heard, because in my opinion, you elect me, you've actually hired me, and I need to be telling you what's going on, explaining to you what's happening, and that's one of the things I want to do. Anybody that wants to give me their email address, they'll get a monthly newsletter. What's going to be happening, what's coming down the pike, and that kind of stuff. I don't want them to find out on a Friday afternoon that we're having the workshop on Monday, and now they're trying to figure out how to get a babysitter or anything else. That's just not fair. Wow. And so my goal will be to be either at the library or any homeowners group that wants to have me, or anybody that wants to have me into their house with some neighbors, however they want to do it, PTA, whatever, because it affects every one of us when something happens in the district, and my responsibility, I feel like, this is me speaking, as a representative, needs to be totally available to them and not expect them to have to come to me.
Right. Well, I agree with that. And then you're getting ready to get in the 3rd district, or on the edge of the 3rd district, you're getting ready to get that Shod Road expansion, which is going to connect basically Kingston Pike over to Clinton Highway. So that's going to be very good because that runs right through your Amherst district, right?
It really does. A ton of expansion and growth over there too, which is extremely needed. Part of the Carnes, outskirts right there. We know Carnes District 6 is just blowing up.
Right.
With Hardin Valley. So it's going to be nice to kind of have that, which is, I went to ball camp, and so to kind of have that little area back in, to me, is kind of going back home. And so I feel like that I'm going to represent them very well. We talked about this earlier today. I was talking to somebody, and I said, it's hard for the ones of us who's lived here all of our lives. and we remember Knoxville the way that it was. And some of us have a hard time with change, you know, and I've always kind of been one of those people that it's hard for change because you're comfortable. And I said, but when I talk to constituents, I say, you know, my goal was to keep my boys here, and I think that's all of our goal. But to do that, we have to have development, we have to have growth, and we have to have change. We have to have businesses coming here because we want to be able to keep them here if we can, and if they want to, obviously. And so, but you have to be respectful of the people who are still having a hard time dealing with the change. It can't just be all about the change and the growth, and I'm looking forward. You need to represent the people too that are having a hard time, and maybe kind of hold their hand and kind of walk them through that process, because for some people it's really difficult, you know. And I think you need to be respectful of that. And from being from Carnes, when you know it was nothing but farmland, and my buyers will ask me why they call it the Carnes red light, because that's literally the only red light we had. And now you go down Carnes and it's a complete different experience. And I find myself sometimes driving down going, you know, I remember that, or doing the same thing in Hardin Valley when we ran those 2-lane roads. So it's kind of hard for those people, and new people maybe don't understand it, and maybe some representatives don't understand it because they're in the mindset of we have to grow and we have to change, and I am too. But I want to be respectful of the ones that are still kind of struggling a little bit to kind of come along.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I was over at the Carnes Republican Club meeting. I guess it was this month or last month or whenever it was, and I went up to Mike Gordon, Gordon's Drug. He's probably one of the first businesses in Carnes 100 years ago. But went up to Mike and I said, Mike, I'm so excited to say that Carnes has finally arrived. And he looked at me. Of course, you know, he was waiting for the punchline because that's what I do. And I said, man, I was coming in from the business part, and I said, I passed this big, huge U-Haul. That means y'all got enough suburbanites in Carnes that they got enough junk to store. But, you know, and that was a joke. And then Mike quickly told me that there's 2 other self-storage facilities in Carnes. But anyway,
yes,
I don't, and we're getting one over here at Westland and Pellissippi. I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure why y'all have so much stuff that you're paying storage, but that's beside the point. But yeah, you know, in where I live, you know, I remember when Ebenezer Road was where you turned off at Lang's Liquor Store off Kingston Pike, and it was a 2-lane cattle trail all the way out to North Shore. And now, you know, it barely connects to South Peters Road, and I mean it's 5 lanes. You know, we might as well have a super speedway over here. Yeah. But you know, it is
strange. It's strange to watch the growth, and you want to see that. You know, I'm all about personal property rights and all of that kind of stuff. And but you know, you do reminisce, especially somebody that's been here all their lives. You do reminisce on that, and maybe we do miss. I think there's always a time that all of us don't. We kind of miss the simpler times in our minds. There were certain times in our lives that were simpler times, and when you're in high school and you're having fun and that kind of stuff, that was a simpler time. You do miss that, and like I say, I want to be respectful of that because it is growth and change is hard. It's hard for everybody.
Right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Let's see, people can go to Vote, VOTE, Gina, GINA, OSTER, Oster, VoteGinaOster.com, or on Facebook, it's Elect, ELECT, Gina Oster, OSTER. So they can go to your website. They can find you on Facebook, anywhere else they need to go if they...
They can call me on my cell. It's 865-382-7799. If they have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me and ask me, and I'll be happy to tell you anything that you want to know. And so any of those District 3 listeners, I would be honored to have your vote.
Fantastic. Well, I know we'll be talking again at least sometime between the primary and the general, because you do have a. You're the only. I was talking on a podcast earlier, and I said, the Democrats, Max Sears had done a pretty good job of recruiting at least one candidate for most races. But I said, hey, in District 3, apparently there's at least 2 Democrats that want to square off. So
he overkicked his coverage on District 3. Brian, I really appreciate it. I had a good time.
Absolutely.
Having me on.
So we will talk. We will talk again between the primary and general, and anything that you need publicized in your race, you let me know. And I appreciate you being on the Brian Hornback Experience. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks so much.